Hello. Welcome back to a brand new episode of 343. This is our last episode of the year, so yeah, it's going to be a good one. I have my trusted Parker, not sidekicks, co-hosts next to me. Jason, you're probably going to feel a bit hurt by that one again, but it's nothing to hurt you, nothing to offend you. It's just something that we have in common. But yes, Ziad, how you doing?
Yeah, all good, man. Jason mustn't cry. He must just come on if he's got a problem. Otherwise, we can always make him an honorary Parker if needed.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be against that. He lives in Saudi Estate, but half of the population of the area is our Parkers. So yeah, and the other Parker areas, how you doing? How you doing? You look a bit tired over there. Are you good?
Yeah, a bit moe, a bit tired, but doing well. Excited to get back into it. Good to be here among trusted co-hosts. So yeah, excited to get going.
That's great. Yeah, I'm just gonna get straight into it. I'm not sure how much football you guys caught over the weekend, but there were actually a lot of important events that happened in the Premier League this past weekend. We spoke about it in the season predictions at the starting of the season, where we thought that Aston Villa is going to prioritize Champions League and European football over the Premier League. And over the last few weeks, we've seen them sort of stumble more often than not. And it happened again this past weekend against Nottingham Forest, where they lost 2-1 over there. We saw Liverpool drop points at Anfield against Fulham, and yeah, Fulham are playing extremely great football lately against a lot of the big teams as well. Their BMT is actually it's coming through clutch. Newcastle actually thrashed Leicester over there. So we spoke about Newcastle last week and what Eddie Howe's plans were, and their response is just like, okay, we're going to thrash this next team, and that's going to probably come into play in the next few weeks as well. Some of the momentum that they're building. And then we saw Chelsea again grind out another victory, even though Brentford looked amazing throughout that match. We saw Spurs absolutely just open the door for Russell Martin to be kicked out of Southampton. And yeah, then United also doing something interesting as well in the Manchester derby, where they just turned the game around in 2 minutes. Riaz, you're laughing a bit there, but just like in terms of the general weekend, what are your thoughts of how the Premier League is kind of shaping up now? Do you think we're not even halfway through the season, but what are your thoughts of that?
Yeah, it looks pretty good so far. I just wish there was a bit more challenging at the top end. But I think from 3 till 13 or something like that, it's like 7 points the gap, something crazy like that. So I think that's going to be the one to watch towards the end of the season. Even as we come to three quarters, I think that's going to be even after. In fact, after this round of fixtures that's going to come now, that's going to come thick and fast. I think that's going to separate kind of three and that 13 position. Hopefully, with the right player or the right teams in the top positions that deserve to be there. But yeah, Liverpool running away with it. I guess they played really well with 10 men. It didn't even seem like they were playing with 10 men for a lot of it. But yeah, and Nottingham Forest proving again that they actually
Yeah,
kind of somehow get results. Somehow, I'm not sure how they're still in that top end of the table, but they're doing really well. So that's the thing that kind of shocked me this weekend is that Nottingham Forest are still doing well. And then two managers out the door. We expected it as well. So both Russell Martin and Gary O'Neill both kind of got fired, I suppose, or left their jobs. They both got let go, and not too surprising. Unfortunate for Gary O'Neill's sake, I would say personally, but I mean the bust ups were really interesting. So
yeah.
you can't let that happen and kind of let the man stay in charge. Unfortunately for Wolves there or for Gary O'Neill himself.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, like just on that, like we spoke about the incidents that were happening at Wolves. over the last couple of weeks or so. Do you think that toxic environment, it, it showed that Gary O'Neill and whoever his backroom staff were, they couldn't grasp the situation of what the players were going through and just what led to his ultimate exit.
Yeah, I mean, it's always difficult to determine from the outside, but I mean, you can see, man, with coaches and coaching staff and so on, if you lose the dressing room like that, or you don't get a good read on the group of players you're working with, then things are not going to end up going well for you. And obviously, with all the things happening, the bust ups and the disagreements, obviously being in the relegation zone, they didn't take too well to that, and it seemed like the situation just got too big for Gary O'Neill, and he couldn't handle it.
Yeah, no, for sure. We we've been speaking about like some of these players over the last few episodes, and in our group chat as well, I mentioned about like Lamina and Mateus Cunha. I think Cunha is under FA review now at the moment for everything that happened at the end of the match over the weekend. So things aren't looking great for him. Ryan Nuri, he's suspended for I think a few games. Mario Lamina got stripped off of captaincy as well. So whichever manager comes in, I think it's Vito Pereira from one of the Saudi clubs. I think they paid his release clause, and he's on his way. He was on his way yesterday to the UK to sign the contract, and he's a Portuguese manager. So
Yeah.
I think that just like they need to go back to that majority of the team or of the squad are Portuguese players, and Wolves were at their best when they had a Portuguese manager at the helm. Do you think that that plays into it, or do you think that's just something from the outside that us as fans and us as like people who analyze these situations would think would be a better fit?
I think it's just a bonus. Obviously, the language barrier is a big thing. So, if you're able to speak the same language, it does make a bit of a difference. And if you can understand the cultural background of where the players come from and so on, you can connect with them. But that's not to mean that coaches from different backgrounds can't connect with the players either. I don't think it plays that big of a role. The most important thing is just figuring out what the players need and establishing basic standards, man. And if you
Yeah.
look across the Premier League, there are other clubs also where the standards are set, and then there are people, players, coaches, managers, whoever that are there to hold everyone else accountable. And that's ultimately what's going to bring success into the dressing room. And we saw with Wolves, I think when you, as soon as you're stripping captaincy, you're making changes. Players are fighting out in the open. That kind of is indicative of an environment where there's no accountability, right? I mean, Arsenal, I can tell you from that experience with Granit, Xhaka walking off the field, the arguing of the fans, and so on. There was a time when there were no standards, whereas, now there is a better standard, there's accountability. Same thing you're going through with United, right? You need players who are leaders to hold the other players accountable, to help the coaching staff. So I think if Pereira can come in and identify who the leaders are in the group and get everyone working towards the goal of saving themselves from relegation, then it's going to be a good hire. Just obviously bonus that he's Portuguese.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, that bonus of being Portuguese, I think, can go a long way with like the language barriers you spoke about. I think a lot of these players look into that as well because I think I've watched a couple of Mateus Cunha interviews and I don't think he's spoken English in
Yeah.
one of them. So I think having that sort of Portuguese manager who understands who you don't have to try and piece together a sentence, it could go a long way. You just
Yes,
spoke
I
about
sense a bias towards Portuguese managers. Yeah, you're also picking up on it.
I will admit it with my chest that I am biased towards Portuguese managers. I'm not even
I could swear a
ashamed to
couple
admit
of
it.
weeks ago he was
But
biased towards Dutch managers.
I I'm I'm behind whichever manager will take us forward. But we'll get to that a bit later. You spoke about relegation zones or relegation battles. We have Southampton on 5 points at the moment,
Yeah, that's
16
big.
games gone. So Russell
Almost five
Martin
points too
is
many. How did they get that five? Man, they so bad. Wow.
there's 22 games left in the season. Do you think at all? I'm not sure whichever manager
Which is a
comes in.
lot.
yeah, it's a lot of games. There's over enough time for them to try and turn things around. But do you think that the squad is good enough to be able to turn that around? We know Aaron Ramsdale, I think, is back in like a week's time from injury, so that would be a huge plus in goal. Because like Ziad, you know how good of a keeper he actually is. But
He
yeah, like
also
now
is
with
a
the new
specialist
manager,
in relegation. Two of the three teams he played for got relegated. So I don't know if that's a good side for Southampton.
yeah, but so like regardless of which manager comes in, Riaz, do you think that is enough for them to turn it around? Or do you think that the players' morale, regardless of which manager comes in, like I think, do you think that they're down in the dumps? Do you think that that's just them writing the season off? Or do you think that there's going to be some fight in there?
Honestly, I don't think that there will be. I think that, like you said, I think the whole the whole order surrounding them is kind of down in the dumps already. But in saying that, I think they actually do have decent enough players to kind of fight, at least fight for to come out of there, like at least fight with the likes of Ipswich and Wolves to kind of at least show a bit of kind of resilience towards the end of the season. Because I mean, the youngster Tyler Dibbling is very good.
Yeah,
Like you say, Aaron and Ramsdale is there. They have Kyle Walker-Peters, who's a steady hand. They have Armstrong, who's very decent. They have a couple of decent players that, if you put them in a system that actually works, that way they don't have to play out from the back. And they were their own worst enemy at the end of the day for the first half of the
yeah,
season. They gave away like what 70% of the goals that they conceded. It was from their own mistakes. So if they can get a manager that comes in that kind of suits or puts them into a system that they like and that they can play well in, they have the players to do it. But I just don't think, I think they're too far off at the moment to be able to do that. That's the only problem.
Yeah, with that, I think the biggest issue that they have is experience. When you're in a
Yeah.
relegation fight, sometimes talent isn't enough. Like, and they got some young talented players. You talk about the system, but the biggest point that you mentioned there that stands out to me is the mistakes, and that comes with the inexperience, Premier League inexperience, right? Because they've obviously been in the Championship. We talk about Adam Armstrong, has some experience, good goal scorer, but hasn't translated to the Prem. I mean, if you
Premier.
go through the list of players, there's potential stars or potential Premier League players, but there's no real leader who can help in a relegation struggle. So if they can
Yeah.
go out in January and secure someone with Prem experience to kind of lead the midfield specifically, because I think that's where they have a lot of inexperience. You know, get a battle hardened midfielder just to come in and
Get
rally the
James Milner
troops a
in
bit.
there.
You know, someone exactly, someone like
yeah,
Milner, just to rally the troops a bit. Then they could perhaps string together some results. But Wolves have way too much talent. If you're gonna just compare
Yeah.
talent, Ipswich got some good players as well. They probably get relegated too. But then above that, you're talking about Leicester. You're talking about Everton. So, you know, there are guys that have been around the block that might help them in a relegation battle.
Yeah.
yeah, for
True.
sure. And I'm just going to shift gears a bit now, like wrapping up the review part of this episode. But you mentioned like young talent and all of those things. Another person that had young talent, has talent or had talent, and I think he's now past that stage, is Marcus Rashford. He is 27 years old, and he sat down with Henry Winter yesterday, and it was the first time we actually heard him speak about his future outright. So the quote that I think grabbed everybody's attention was, "For me personally, I think I'm ready for a new challenge and the next steps. When I leave, it's going to be no hard feelings. If I know that a situation is already bad, I'm not going to make it worse." Riaz, we've spoken about Marcus Rashford, I think, more often than I'm proud of. But from your point of view, what did you make about this interview?
Yeah, it's about time. Let's be honest. I mean, how often can you just cling to what he used to be? And like he shows you when he shows you every week what he is now, and
Yeah,
that's it's a stark contrast to that. I mean, maybe you could say it's a system where you didn't really need to do all the running, but at the end of the day, like Ziad said, and I think that's the most crucial thing um, that needs to come from this episode is that you need to have leaders around you. The experience needs to be there, and that comes from the players who, like, if you look at the past United teams, like the Roy Keanes and the David Beckhams and I guess Gary Neville, if you want to call it that, but the guys who led from the front and like when new players came in, they knew the culture. They set it straight from the beginning. This is how you run. This is how you train. This is how you work. Now you come into that United dressing room and there's nothing like that. There's Marcus Rashford, who's now supposed to be that kind of figure in the dressing room, who doesn't really do anything, and now Garnacho is kind of following suit because that's what Rashford does, kind of a thing. But yeah, I think it's good. It's good Rashford needs to go now because if it's not this season, how much are you really going to get for him if it's not this season? Because it's just going to depreciate in value.
Yeah.
So I think it's past time for him to go now, in my opinion. But what about you? Do you think that you can still salvage something from him, like in the team? Do you still want to play him somewhere, maybe as a striker?
I think the thing that we can salvage is probably about 40 to 50 million.
Okay.
That's Siad, from your side, do you think that it's a good call? Do you think that the call over the weekend of him being dropped basically forced this sort of PR? I'm going to put that in quotations, like to try and take some heat off of him.
I think you hit the nail on the head with PR because that was well orchestrated to have a sit down with a reputable journalist. But I mean, you're struggling if you think you're gonna get 40 to 50 million for a player who the manager said he has problems, doesn't train well, so he's not selecting him. But the door's obviously open for him, which I like. I like that approach from the manager. The other thing is when you go out and say, I'm ready for my next challenge. You push down your market, or you diminish your market value because
Yeah.
your value is based on how much other people want you. But
Yeah.
I know there's a difference in age, but it's going to be the same as the Sterling situation. I don't see it playing out any different because he's on 325 or 350,000 pounds a week, right? He's got 2 to 3 years left on the contract. You tell me who's going to pay him that type of wages for the
Yeah.
output that he's currently giving. And he doesn't, and he has every right to sit tight because they gave him the contract, which I think the clubs need to learn this, man. And this was my big thing here is the clubs need to stop giving out stupid contracts because
Yeah.
it's very similar to what happens in American sport. You're stuck with a player because you're rewarding him for past performance, right? Or current performance. And what we've learned about this generation of players is as soon as they get the bag, they drop their performance level, their training intensity, everything drops. There are exceptions, obviously, but the general rule of thumb is as soon as these guys get the big contracts, you're now sitting with players that you have to get rid of. And go through the teams. Does Liverpool want Rashford? No, they don't need him. Arsenal's not going to buy him for 50 million. Neither is Spurs, who've been talked about. Madrid have enough options, and he's not even playing at the level that he was when he was linked to Madrid at whatever point. PSG what spoken about, but they seem to be only buying youngsters. So where's he going to go to get the money that he's on?
Yeah.
There's no options. He's going to go to Saudi, Qatar, UAE, or wherever they're going to pay, give him the bag. Otherwise, he has to sit tight and either train hard and get back in the team because the manager left the door open, or he can do a Quinton Fortune and sit there and cash the checks.
You mentioned that the manager left the door open, and I think Amorim, he managed this one pretty well because Rashford mentioned that he wanted a new challenge, and his response today was, "We have a new challenge here at United." It's a tough one for me. It's the biggest challenge in football because we're in a difficult situation, and I already said this is one of the biggest clubs in the world. It's a really new challenge and the biggest one. I really hope all my players are ready for this new challenge. And he said that we are better with Marcus Rashford. That is simple, and we will try to push things. We will try different things to push Marcus to the best levels he's shown in the past, and that's all. So he's basically just managing the situation as best as he could. And I'm just going to go back to Eric Ten Hag. I don't think he would have had the balls to do something like that. I feel
He did
like
Ronaldo.
Yeah, but I think
I
that was planned, bruh. He was like,
yeah.
I'm getting rid of this
So
guy because he can see I'm a fraud. To say if I can get rid of him, maybe I can last a bit longer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so I think this management was done really well. But yeah, like we're gonna have to see now how it plays out. I personally I think Rashford is off in January, whether it's a 6 month loan with an obligation to buy somewhere,
Bruh, if he
just to
goes
try
in
and manage the
January,
situation.
United's gonna have to pay someone to take him. The
Yeah.
same way Sterling was loaned
Yeah,
out. Chelsea's covering most of the cost. I mean, the manager has done well because he's giving players a fair opportunity and he pretty much wipes the slate clean every week, right? But
yeah,
you've seen Rashford burst onto the scene and you've seen what he's become. And obviously, the talent he has, he'd be great to have in your squad. I mean, a lot of teams would want that talent, but at what cost? Because if he's not
yeah.
driven, he says a new challenge. AF, what has he done for your club? When was the last season where he was a star for your club? How
So
long
that
ago was
was
that?
2 seasons ago when he had that 31 or 32 goals in all competitions, and then we rewarded him with that 350K per week contract
And it
after that.
hasn't been the same since.
And yeah, he just down tools. And yeah, I think last season was his worst season in the United jersey. So yeah, it's not looking great for him. But like personally, I hope that he finds his hunger for the game again. It's not going to be at United, but I hope that wherever he goes, he starts the ball again. I don't think United will end up selling him to another Premier League club. They will probably look abroad because I think that they've seen what happened with Jadon Sancho. They sold him to a rival, and he's absolutely balling every week for Chelsea. So I think that they've learned their mistake with that one. So he probably goes abroad somewhere. David Ornstein did say that PSG, they were previous suitors, and they aren't currently in for him, but they're still observing everything that's
Yeah,
happening.
from a
So
from a guy who can set up an interview for PR, his agent's probably leaking all the stuff to create a market for him. There is zero
that's also
market
true.
for Marcus Rashford. Whatever
PSG is the only
reports you
place he
read
can
and
go.
stuff. But
Yeah,
PSG is going young. They want 22-year-olds, 24-year-olds. They're not
Yeah.
signing the Rashfords. They moved on from that. They don't want. It seems like it, right? Because they've let all the big money guys go. I mean, they stuck with
yeah.
Dembele, but even he, I don't know. I don't see the market, but let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, and then just moving on to another contract situation that we've had on our hands, and that's Mo Salah. We've been speaking about him over the last couple of episodes as well. Will he sign a contract? Will he leave? What is happening? And I think Liverpool knew that because it was reaching those last 6 months that they needed to get things in gear. And then, according to Court Offside, the report is that Liverpool are on the cusp of confirming the agreement with Salah after the intervention of the club's owner, John Henry. Um, the American billionaire has intervened to hurry the talks along, and they claim Salah is happy to commit to the extension, with the news described as the best Christmas present that the club and its supporters could hope for. So I'm understanding that it's probably going to be announced before the end of the year. It's apparently like Marca, the Spanish newspaper. They also reported it about a couple of hours ago. They said it is a 2 year contract, and he's very happy with what they've offered him and what he's agreed to. So, just from you guys, does he set the precedent now for Virgil van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold to show that, okay, I agreed this deal now. I'm staying at the club. It's probably going to be the last contract that I'm going to be signing in my career. I'd like you guys to follow suit.
I think it's different though. I think it's a bit different because first of all, I don't understand. Did they not offer him anything prior to this? Like, is this the first time they're actually offering him something?
Yeah.
Is that the case? Because I don't
Yeah, because
understand.
I mean, he's been giving interviews for the past couple of months saying that, like, they haven't made contact. He's still
Okay,
waiting, and all of these things, like making these, like doing these interviews after games.
okay.
So yeah, they finally came to the table with something, and it was probably a really good one.
So it wasn't that he was unhappy with what they offered. They just didn't offer him anything at the time.
Yeah, they were taking
Okay.
their time. Yeah,
Okay, that makes sense then. Because it wouldn't have made sense if they actually offered him something and there was an impasse somewhere, and now all of a sudden, like, they kind of good to go. But yeah, honestly, it's a great deal for Liverpool and for Salah to be honest, because they fit each other perfectly. They're a good match, and whether it's kind of a precursor to the other two, I'm not sure. Virgil, maybe it's a different situation, right? Because Salah's coming to the end of his career. Trent still has a long way to go. Virgil, maybe in between. But I think that maybe Virgil will follow suit just because Salah has signed, but I think Trent's going either way. And I think that's what it should be. I think they should sell Trent and they should tie down Virgil for another
They
contract.
can't
And
sell Trent. He goes for free because he's
oh yeah,
reaching the
Yeah.
end of
sorry,
his contract.
sorry.
So
They should let
they're
him
gonna
go. They
sell
should let
him. They
him
have
go.
to sell him in Jan.
Yeah, they should let him go. That's what I mean. Sorry, they shouldn't offer him a new contract. They should have sold him when they could have, but I guess now that it's passed. But yeah, hopefully they will sign Virgil to a new, because I looked again on the weekend, and I don't want to get into the Liverpool game too much, but the Kwanzaa fella he's not at that level. You know what I mean?
But
Like they need
Connor
kind of
Bradley
badly is
is
he can get there
he's
for
going to
sure.
be fantastic at that right back spot.
Yeah, but I mean centre back specifically for
Yeah.
that's why I don't really mind if they sell Trent, because they have Conor Bradley.
Yeah.
But when if they let Virgil go, it's kind of, they don't have anyone to replace him.
Yeah.
Like all of them are prone to mistakes that they currently have. Gomez, Konate, I don't know if Matip is still there, and Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa was thought to be this generational talent that was coming through. He's been making several mistakes in the past couple of showings that he's been given. And just to get my lick in there, where did both Liverpool goals concede coming from? Came from the right hand side of the defense. So yeah, maybe it's good that Trent's time to go.
That's fair. Yeah. Anything that you want to add from your side regarding it?
With what you said about the owner getting involved, that means that they jacked up the price. They're gonna sign him for big money. And again, I just think football teams are so poor at reading the market. Where
Yeah,
is Salah gonna go? Who's gonna pay him? Right? Saudi's
Yeah.
gonna pay him. No one else has the money to beat that contract. Madrid have no space for him. If he
Yeah.
yeah,
was gonna go to
Juventus
Madrid, he should
was
have
the only
gone two
European
years
team
back.
that was in.
He's not gonna go back to Serie A. He was there
Yeah.
already. Right? If you're talking of a pure football, the step up from Liverpool is only to Madrid or Barca, right? Because that might be something that football players want to tick off, their wish list. But he's playing at the highest level in the Premier League. It wouldn't make sense for him to move to City, right? So the only other option is Madrid, and that door is closed. So where's he gonna go,
he could go to
right?
Madrid. He could go. It's
What they're gonna
possible.
sell? There's no space for him to play, and they committed their mind. No one's gonna take Mbappe now. You're gonna have to sell someone because they're already
Mbappe plays
struggling.
down the middle.
Nah, man. Listen, they struck. They got 4 or 5 players there. They're not gonna take another big money contract. They'd rather spend that
Yeah,
money on Trent or similar
yeah,
player to
true.
Trent, right? In the defense. So Salah's going nowhere, and that's probably why the contract took so long to sort out. And he's playing at the world class level,
Yeah.
so it makes sense for all parties. 2 year deal. He's 32. He'll be
Yeah,
34 at the end of it, and I think then he will move to another country or whatever, and then cash in if he wants to. But he could probably still play um, in the Premier League. The same goes for Virgil. I don't think there's any club for Virgil to go to from Liverpool, because where do you go? Every move is sideways or down, and at this point, you might as well take whatever money they offer you, ride it out, and then maybe 2 years down the line, you either become a coach and you help the team, or you move to your hometown club and go help them. Similar to how Vincent Company ended up
yeah.
back at Feyenoord, I think for a season, or PSV, whichever club he was involved in. Whereas Trent is the one that has
And
Salon
the
value, which they should have. Anderlecht, you're right. You're right. It's Anderlecht, Belgium. My bad. Uh, you're spot on there, mate. Hopefully, your Spurs team can use that sort of acumen when they play Liverpool on the weekend. But we'll get there a bit later. Just
mm,
to finish off there on the Trent thing, he had the most value. So if you were gonna, the only reason they didn't sell him is because they believe they can offer him a contract that he will take. So I think if Trent is loyal to Liverpool, there could be an agreement in place where he signs a new deal that has a clause in to allow him to leave if a certain price is met. from specific clubs because you can set up contracts like that. And I think that would be a win-win for Liverpool because if they lose any of those three, it doesn't make them better in
Yeah.
the immediate time because obviously Trent going forward is brilliant for them. So I don't think they lose him. I actually think they'll keep all three. And then maybe later on they try to sell him. But I think they try to keep those three together and yeah, I don't see anyone leaving. I thought Trent would leave. It seems so
Yeah.
obvious that he would, but it doesn't seem that obvious anymore.
They're going to win the
So
league, so he might as well stay.
Maybe unless Bellingham has pull with him, that's
Oh,
the
yeah,
only
true.
other thing you could think
yeah,
of.
so that's the only thing that I was going to add. I do think that Trent still goes. A few weeks ago, there was an inside source, like from one of his friends groups or something like that, that actually leaked that he wants to win the Ballon d'Or. Like Trent, that's one of his like career aspirations. He
But
wants to
then
win the
why go
Ballon
to
d'Or, and he
Madrid,
knows that he
right,
can
when he
only
couldn't
do
win
that
it
at
there?
Real Madrid. Sorry.
I said, why go to Madrid then when he couldn't win it there? How's he gonna win it there?
No, that's why I'm saying he's like he knows that he has to go to Real Madrid in order to win a Ballon d'Or. So that's something
Yeah.
that I think a lot of people were alerted by. Like, okay, is that like basically his way of saying that he's not going to sign the contract at Liverpool and then just move on? But yeah, I agree with you guys. I think Van Dijk he stays. I think Salah obviously now he agreed his contract, but I think
If
Trent
Liverpool
is gone.
lose Trent for free, it will be one of the biggest fumbles. And I don't think anyone will really talk about it much because in soccer it doesn't really these things don't turn up, but he easily could have been sold for 100 million because
Yeah.
he's worth it, right? So you're gonna lose out on that money and let him go for free. That would be such bad business from the club. So
They
I
should
think
have
they
done that
forced to
deal a long
overpay
time
to keep
ago.
him. Definitely, that's a
Yeah.
lot of money. Plus, he's homegrown, so that counts as pure profit in your
Yeah.
whatever weird financial rules the
Yeah,
Premier League has. But yeah, I mean, let's see.
cool. Like now that we wrap that one up in a nice and tidy bow, we can actually go into our previews. And the first one on the menu is Man United, or is it Spurs versus Man United? You guys playing at home, right, Riaz?
I think so.
Tomorrow
Yeah.
night?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the stadium. I'm just going to call it that from now on. So I'm
Oh,
not going to add the Tottenham name in there anymore. I'm
I
just going
thought
to
this
call it
was
the
a
stadium.
3 point line.
for others, yeah, not for us. That's for sure.
Yeah, so yeah, it's like, I mean, you guys have been like, this has been like a seesaw over the last few weeks where you like beating Man City, actually thrashing Man City 4-0, and then drawing to Roma, drawing a couple of other games, and then thrashing Southampton this past weekend again. Is your where's your confidence level sitting right now?
Uh, I don't have any. I don't have any confidence levels. I don't expect anything for any of the games. Like, I watched the Southampton game and I was like, I hope we win this game. Like, that's the first thing. Like, I didn't expect us to
Yeah.
go out there and thrash them. I was just like, please don't mess us up because it's possible for us to just switch off somehow and just lose to Southampton because we did it to Ipswich. So it's possible for us to do that. It's just a seesaw battle, and with all the injuries we have, it's just you never know what Spurs team is going to come out and play. And I guess this is a Spurs episode, but it's going to be. I'm just. It's such a hit and miss situation currently with the squad. But poor Archie Gray, man. That's what I want to actually focus on. Is poor old Archie Gray, the 18-year-old we signed for big money. He comes in and he's played all four positions of the back four and centre midfield. I mean, poor guy. He
But
just needs
it just
to.
shows his versatility, though. Like, I've been so
Yeah,
impressed by his versatility.
that's true. That's true. But like, it's just it's like there's no stability. That just shows the stability of the team that we have currently. Like when you have such a player, such a young player coming in, playing literally across the back four and in midfield, it just shows us where we're at as a team at the moment. We have no stability because of all the injuries and all this. And never mind the injuries. Like I don't want to use that as an excuse, even though it is hectic. It's just that the way we're playing, even with a full strength 11, it's up and down. Like you said, it's a seesaw. So my confidence currently, to answer your question, is nowhere, and I don't believe that we can do anything ecstatic unless we play Manchester City. If we play Manchester City, we're going to win the game. But other than that,
So just
never
focus
know.
on the Manchester part of the name and you'll be fine.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Ziad, do you think like last week we saw or we heard Ange Postecoglu come out and publicly, I don't actually know how best to put it, but it wasn't great with Timo Werner. Like he just publicly made
He
made a scene
lambasted
about
him.
him, and
He
like
lambasted
yes,
him
like
is what he did.
like the thing is like I'm not going to okay that because I feel like I've been upset with a lot of our previous managers, previous managers publicly going out and just criticizing players and stuff like that. And that obviously it plays against player morale. I mean, gets in their heads and all of those things. And it was bad. That was
He
some
deserved
really
it.
bad things he
I
had to
don't think
say.
it was as
He
bad as people
deserved it.
make it out to be, man.
I
First of
agree.
all, he's kind of set the precedent before. This is how he speaks, he goes about things, and the English media often take it out of context. But whoever managed Werner before, I mean, he's been at Chelsea, he didn't do well. He came to Spurs, hasn't really kicked on, and it's basically now or never for him. So whatever he's doing in training or whatever he's doing, and he's getting opportunities, it's not working. So maybe this is the last card the manager has to play to try and get a reaction out of him. And if he doesn't get a reaction now, then he knows, well, I can't rely on this person. So I don't hate it because there's nothing to gain from Werner. He's on loan at Spurs, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
it's not like he's going to be there full time. They can ship him off in January if they don't want him anymore. And it's like basically issuing him a challenge. Whereas with other teams before, I don't even think Ange was under pressure when he said it. And he didn't really throw him under the bus. It was the truth. He did play bad. He took him off at
Yeah.
halftime. And, it wasn't like he was making an excuse or it's like it is what it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, and Ange has been very direct in his communication with the media from the start. So I'm not really too disturbed by it. I mean, compared to other clubs where players get thrown under the bus, the intention may have been different, but I was fine with it.
And I think
No,
also
that's
what kind of just to add and tie it in nicely with what you said earlier with the experience thing. He's supposed to be one of those, I guess, leaders in the training room because we have a young squad. So in that regard, to play like that, and while you're supposed to be, I mean, you're coming on to replace the captain, or not replace, but like you're in the captain's position, you're in Son's position. Um, you have shoes to fill, and if you're not going to do it properly, you're going to have to get shouted at for it as an experienced player. So I guess that's also a way to think about it as well.
yeah, no, fair enough. Like from that point of view, like it's all good and well, but my like, and again, I'm just going to compare this to United teams over the last like couple of seasons or so. When something like, and I don't know if that's just like the mental aspect of like the younger players these days or players uh, in this sort of generation, but the moment they get publicly criticized, that's when their form just like drops even deeper. So as a manager,
But
wouldn't you try to manage that a
his
bit
form
better?
can't go lower than it is
Yeah,
currently.
Yeah, so
isn't
like
it
I mean,
strange
against
in a
Man City,
world?
he absolutely crushed Kyle Walker in that foot race.
In one run.
So no, that's like, which is fine, but that in some cases that can be a momentum builder for
True.
players
And
because he
Ange
was
never
being
let.
praised after that.
Yeah,
Like he
yeah,
was like people were like loading him and they were like telling like I saw so many people saying that Timo Werner is going to turn the corner after that, which
yeah,
is like that's something good in the media again, and that the player would be able to take that
Yeah,
and
then he had
run
45
and run
minutes
with
to
it.
show he's turning the corner, but he showed that
Yeah,
he was in a roundabout and he just went back the same way he came.
he's too fast for his own good. He
I
must
mean,
have
it's
stopped.
fair
it's
enough.
it's weird because in a generation where people post everything they do, they can't handle a bit of criticism. So
Yeah.
it's like they need it actually more. They need to be told of more, and I don't see a problem.
But I
And you
think that's
need to you
exactly
need
what
to
you said,
perform.
man.
You need to
Yeah,
perform.
it's exactly what you said. It's trying to get the reaction now out of him in a different way.
Yeah.
Because Andrew's never done this to any other player like in our squad. He's very direct, but he never criticizes a player. This is the first time he's done that. So I think he's just trying to get something out of Werner somehow.
Or rather,
Yeah,
I don't think he's done it in public. Like he's probably done
Yeah,
it behind closed doors, but
yeah.
yeah, for
he's
sure.
never come out publicly and
Yeah,
and how do you say like that? Yeah.
100%, 100%. So hopefully
But
hopefully this will help him.
yeah, like so, I was just going to ask you: do you think that there is a future for him at Tottenham after this? And I'm going to
Uh,
ask you like directly as a Spurs supporter, do you think would you want to see him continue at Spurs? Do you think that there's enough in there to warrant to stay for him?
I'm on the fence. I'll be honest, because like no, the answer is no, right? He hasn't warranted. He hasn't done enough to warrant us wanting him to stay. But it's that hope, man, that kills you every time, because you know he can do like things that will
Yeah,
make you
it's the
go
same as
crazy.
Rashford, right? There comes a time when that hope and potential has to
Yeah,
Yeah,
translate to something, and when you're mid 20s, and I'm sure Werner's also similar to Rashford's age profile, if not older, then you have to do more because there's enough other young talent who have potential that you can then invest in,
yeah,
especially if they're not
100%.
starters. Like coming off the bench, what difference does it make if you have Werner or whoever else
yeah,
Spurs have sitting there, a
Like Kim
17,
Boer.
18 years old?
Yeah.
Go for it.
yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna put this to you. If you can choose three players from United and three players from Spurs, who you think would be would have the most impact tomorrow night, who would they be?
It's hard to say because it's Carabao Cup, right? So you think probably there's going to be some squad rotation, right?
Not on our
So,
side, on his side, yeah.
well,
We
for,
can't.
for
We don't
Spurs
have squads.
perspective, yeah, but you have to consider that you have Liverpool coming up in the league over the weekend. So you
Yeah,
can't go all out unless you prioritize the cup. So you play your strong team in the cup because United you can beat, but Liverpool highly unlikely. So
yeah,
you might see a first choice team there. So obviously, a couple of guys coming back from injury for Spurs, but they were out there central defenders. So Archie Gray, wherever they decide they're gonna put him in that back four or in the midfield, it would be interesting one to watch. I think Son will play, and if I'm going
some
to
of
be
this.
pushed for a third player, I think Madison to continue because Madison's been showed some good form, but kind of up and down. So you don't want to see that sustained a bit. For United, I think they're going to go all out for this trophy as well. I think Garnacho will earn a chance to prove himself again if he trained well. So I think he might end up in the squad for this game. Another one is Xerxes. I think he'll probably get a run because Hoyland played a lot of the game over the weekend.
Yeah,
So I think it's Xerxes' opportunity. And then Mino, who was also left out, should be coming back in for the cup. So let's see how they do. But to just talk about United quickly, I think they've done fairly well with regard to trying to keep the shape that Amorim wants. Which fair play to him. You can, I mean, it's chalk and cheese, man. He's been in charge for a couple of games. You can already see what they're trying to do. Whereas the manager before it was complete
took two
chaos for
years.
several seasons. So it's
Yeah,
so strange because he had so much time, but this
Yeah.
guy's been in there for a couple of weeks and they look like a better unit already.
yeah, 100%.
Riaz, do you think that the midfield battle will be the one to watch tomorrow night?
I actually think that it's going to be the wing back slash wingers. That's going to be the one to watch. I think the midfield battle. I think we'll have it. I think we'll have it easier than I guess other
The
games
thing
where we
to
struggle.
jump in here, right? I think the midfield battle. I don't think there's much midfield battles anymore
Yeah,
because I feel like all the teams don't want the ball. So you look at the way
well, we
United is
want the
set up.
ball.
They don't want possession. They're
Yeah,
happy to play
Yeah,
without the ball and counter.
yeah.
The same with Spurs. So like the midfield is almost like not important or as important as the wide players because the guys want to win the ball. So the battle in midfield is actually can we win the ball off you and release someone? It's not like in the past, where the midfielders had a lot of control. So a lot of teams are playing this way, and I think both Spurs and United play in a way where they actually prefer not having the ball and
I
rather
think we
playing a
want the
bit more
ball a lot
direct
more.
and quick. Yeah, but you guys
I
also
think
pass the ball forward so quickly. So even when you
yeah,
have the ball, it's not like you want to hold the ball. You
that's
want
yeah,
true.
it, but you want to use it quickly.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I
true.
mean?
That's
It's
true.
like it's not possession based. Like I think City, maybe Arsenal are teams who possession based more than anything. Other teams want to just eat on the
yeah,
counter. So Yeah, I don't know about the midfield, but they're gonna need players to hit those long balls over the top, and like you said, he has the wide players to run onto it.
I think that's where United's going to get most of the joy. To be honest with you, I think it depends on who. It just depends on who plays there. I didn't really like the fact that Mazraoui played there for some reason. I thought he was going to be really good there, um, at wing back against City. I thought it was a good pick. I thought just to see, because we haven't seen him there yet. He's always played somewhere else. So they picked him there at wing back, and I didn't really like it. I actually prefer him at right centre back.
Yeah,
I'm
because
not
his
sure
strength is
why.
more defensively, but
Yeah,
he's solid at the wing back also, but it doesn't give you as much going forward as maybe
options.
the
Yeah,
other options do. But then that you sacrifice the defense if you
Yeah.
you
yeah.
pick a guy like Spinner Rooney there at the right wing back.
Which actually surprisingly been doing well in those two appearances that he made at right wing back.
Hey, listen, Rashford scored in the first game, Amorim managed, so don't get too excited.
I'm just saying, watch this space for something that might end up
Yeah,
changing.
boosting his value so they can sell him
That could
at a
also be
loss.
true. I'm actually interested. Like, if Ahmad starts, that's going to
Mm.
be a really good battle, because I think you're up against Udogi, and
Now
like,
Udogi's out. Last
is Udogi
report
out?
says Udogi is out.
Well, he might play, but we're probably going to rest him for Sunday. So
If
he
if
probably
he
won't play.
plays at 50%, Ahmed's gonna kill him.
Yeah, he won't play. He won't play. I don't think he'll play.
So then who would be his deputy, Ben Davis?
Yeah, player X.
No,
He's
Ben
gonna
Davis
if
also
Ahmed
out.
plays, he's
Oh
gonna
damn.
take player X to the cleaners.
We don't have
Whoever they put there,
we don't have any
sacrifice.
levels of our
Play Timo
backup.
Werner there so you can sacrifice him.
I think Archie will play there. Either Archie or Jet Spence will play. Will play at
Possibly.
left
Jade
back.
Spence. Jade Spence,
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh
Jet
yeah,
Spence
Jet,
will play.
Jet Spence. Yeah,
Because I think
and
Archie will play next to Radu in the center.
and I mean, it's been a while since, like, you guys have had Jet Spence for a while on the books, and it looks like he's finally starting to make a name for himself, or trying to make a name for himself over there.
Yeah,
So yeah, and he's
I
young,
like him.
so he's probably going to be there for a while as well. So it's good to see him getting a game, and yeah, I think that he's quite quick as well. So
He's
yeah,
extremely
like
quick.
him versus Ahmed will be a really good
But
battle.
then where
Um,
I'm gonna ask you, AF, where do you play Ahmad? Because on against City you played him as the 10, whereas previously they've been playing him as the right wing back. So where would you prefer to see him play?
I think Amorim trusts him a lot to play either of the positions, and I don't think it's going to be dead set every game.
Yeah,
I feel like just
I think this
depends
game
on
specifically.
the team composition, where Amorim thinks he would be needed most, and I think
Okay.
he comes through in either position. And I've seen so many people posting about it and tweeting about it and skeeting about it, and they just basically saying that um, Ahmad is trusted so much because Amorim has seen so much of him in training and all of those things, just to know that he's a guy that you can count on regardless, because he gives 120% every single
It
time.
makes a difference.
So yeah, like I really don't think there's like a set position for him. It's going to be either right wing back or the left or the right cam position
Yeah.
in any game based on the team composition. But yeah, just before we wrap this one up, what are your predictions for the cup? Yes,
Me first. Um, does it go to penalties?
I think so. I think
I
it
think
goes
it goes
straight
to
to penalties. I
penalties.
don't think that
Yeah.
there's extra time.
There's no extra time or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 2-1 United, or 3-1 United. One of the two. I just think that we don't have the defensive acumen to cope with, unless Xerxes plays, obviously. But because then anybody has the defensive acumen to combat that. But other than that, I think United have too much attacking power for us. So I think it's going to be the 2-3-1 to United.
See that?
3-2 Spurs.
Nice. I'm going to go with a 1-1 going to penalties and then United win on penalties, because I don't know how good Fraser Forster is in the polls. So
He's
This
been
bruh,
very
this
decent.
bruh,
He's been very
this
decent.
bruh just want to see Amaram celebrate penalties, man. It's
I was
a
actually going to go with
ticket
penalties.
off his
Eh?
bingo card.
I,
He
I,
hasn't
I,
seen it.
I like penalties. I like penalty shootouts. I think in so many cup predictions we've done so far, I've chosen penalties more often than not. I just like the feeling of penalties.
I was going to go with it. That's why I asked the question in the first place. But I think that if it goes to penalties, we'll lose. So I didn't really want to go to. I don't want to deal with that. Anxiety.
Fair enough. We have about 10 minutes or so left. We can do a quick preview for Spurs Liverpool. We already covered most of Spurs players and all of these
Oh, and
things.
then lack
We
thereof.
spoke a lot about Liverpool and their players. But yeah, like we're just gonna go back to sort of midfield battles here, or defensive battles or offensive battles. Like Riaz, where do you think is there a specific place on the field that you think is going to be very important in this game?
I think that the returns of both Diogo Jota and Harvey Elliott is super key. I mean, Jota came off the bench in that Fulham game and he changed the game completely. It makes so much of a difference when a striker comes on and you can see the effect that he has on the game, and just the opportunities that he makes for himself, just the runs that he makes, or the turns, the whether he's able to turn and create opportunities for himself. They've missed that, Liverpool, which is weird to say because they're top of the log. So I think Jota coming in is going to make a massive difference, especially against our central defenders. And Harvey Elliott as a cover for either in the midfield or a wide player. But I think he came on in the midfield on the weekend. So it's good to see him back as well. But yeah, I just think that it's going to be like I mean, if United have too much firepower for us, I think Liverpool are going to blow us out of the water, unfortunately.
So yeah, do you agree with that? Do you think that?
Yeah,
Because
100%. But I can't rely on Spurs to take points off Liverpool. It's unfortunate for Spurs because their defense is gutted completely. I think they can go toe to toe with Liverpool in terms of attack. Obviously, Liverpool have more class in their attack, but Spurs score, man.
I think we could.
Spurs can always find a way to score often, unless they. Spurs remind me of the Pakistan cricket team. Sometimes they just don't get on the bus.
That's
so
a good comparison.
It's you never know what you're gonna get, right? But they have the potential. So yeah, I don't think Spurs really can win it. They can maybe nick a draw, but it will be one of those high scoring games, 2-all, 3-all. But I think Liverpool have too much, and I think Liverpool will probably run out 3-1 winners or 3-2, depending if Spurs do something crazy. But yeah, I think Liverpool have too much.
yeah, it's interesting that you said that because a couple of years ago I saw on Twitter that somebody compared Spurs to a lucky packet. You won't know until you open the packet up to see what you get, and
We're worse
that was
now than
quite
we were
funny at
then.
the time. Sorry.
And we're worse now than we were then.
Yeah. So yeah, I think also the news about Salah, that's going to just galvanize the team even more.
What do you guys make? I don't know if you saw the report where Slot tries to influence the referees. Did you guys manage to catch that?
I didn't. What
So
was that
Slot,
about?
The corner situation where he was
no,
counting.
generally he's trying to create like a Anfield advantage where the crowd gets involved so much, and crowd gets into it so much that it influences the ref. That's essentially a home ground advantage, right? Funny enough, Slot is actually suspended for the Carabao Cup. He picked up 3 bookings
Yeah.
so far this season, so he's actually suspended because of how intense he gets on the side. Quite interesting. I thought I respect that, trying to get the crowd involved, and almost like a 12-man type of thing we talk about in rugby, player 23, that type of thing, man, where the crowd actually it's quite interesting. So just
I mean,
checking if you guys
you
heard
have to
about
use
that.
every tool at your disposal, right? It's not illegal to do that. So I mean,
Exactly.
if you want to try and play it that way, then good on you. Like
Yeah,
try
but
don't
to.
get on
Amorim
the pitch.
decided he's gonna use Fergie time, so he's activated that. Wow, what do you call it? The chip in his.
Oh God.
Fergie time is back, they say.
I won't get onto
I
that.
hope
I
not.
won't get onto that train, not just yet. But yeah. So Ziad, you said that you predict a 3-2 win for Liverpool.
Let me revise. I'm gonna go 3-1.
3-1. Can you name some goal scorers there?
Yeah, it's gonna be a free for all. It'll be like a lineup. It's almost like, okay, who wants to score? I reckon Salah with a goal and assist. You got Trent with an assist. Jota's coming back from injury, 50-50. I'd say Darwin scores because it's against Spurs. And then one of the central defenders of a set piece. So let's
Yeah,
go
we
Virgil.
suck
So
at set
Virgil,
pieces.
Salah, Darwin. Those are my
Nah,
goal
that's fair.
scorers.
That's fair. Yes, do you think Fraser Forster has a worlding goal?
He's been decent. He's actually been. I hated on him when he first. I've not been his biggest supporter, to be
But
completely
that's why
honest.
he's performing, right? He wants to prove you wrong.
I guess
Fraser
so. I
Forster,
guess
if
so.
you're watching this,
He's been very decent, like extremely, extremely decent. But yeah, I think he's just run the mill. He can do a job, and he must just do the job and
Do you
get
think
it
that
done.
has an effect on what the score is going to be? What are you predicting?
No, I still think we're gonna concede. Of course, because we always concede. But I think we'll win 4-2.
here we go.
Yeah, fair. Like
Normally sits
I
on
was
the
actually
fence
gonna.
with a draw, but well done.
I'm going 3-2 Spurs.
Okay,
Like
now we're talking.
like I said.
Look, I'm coming
I,
off a correct prediction for the Manchester Derby, right? So let's see if I
That's
can keep
true.
my streak going.
That's true. That's true.
yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
if Spurs do pull this out, then I guess Ziad is the one that should be thanking you, right? Yes.
yeah, that's true. I mean,
Right, your team can take points and my team decide how are we not gonna win today.
that is true. That is. Although my team does that as well, but I mean, I think that we do better against good opponents, which is weird to say.
Yeah,
Which
because
is
the good
also
opponent has the ball a lot. So when you get it, you can just counter. It's,
yeah, that's true. That's true. I think
But yeah,
we showed that against City. I think we should have beaten Chelsea as well, which is unfortunate.
mm.
And that's why I think we'll do well against Liverpool, but too bad against United.
but what Ziad said earlier about the stadium being 3-point lane. I mean, you beat City at the Etihad,
Hmm.
so and then you capitulated against Chelsea
They
at
just need a
Tottenham
sponsor for the
Hotspur
damn
Stadium.
stadium. Someone give Spurs some money so they can call the
No,
stadium
don't give
something.
Levy
It
any more
can be
money, please.
DHL Stadium. It can be
No,
whatever.
don't give
Just
Levy
someone
any
give
more
Spurs
money.
money.
We don't need any more money, please. Don't give that man any
Yes.
more power or money, please.
No,
Get
but
him
then
out the
the
club.
stadium has a name. Then you will start winning there.
Yeah,
Call it
if he
NFL Stadium.
nah,
For
That's also fine. Jaguar
so
Stadium.
so so the thing
no,
is
not the Jags, please.
just get him to get Levi Strauss as a
There we
sponsor.
go.
I mean, it's
Levi
all close
Stadium
enough to his surname. So
And then he
San
just
can leave.
Francisco.
Then he can
Nah,
leave. I
there
just
you
want
go.
him out of my club, bro.
Samsung Stadium because they can do it for Son. There's so many options, Vera.
It's it's Levy's fault, man. It's just I'm just gonna keep it at that. I'm part of the Levy out movement, so that's where we'll take it.
yeah, you should do a hashtag and then just say it with every post you post, like some United fans did for the past few years. So
It's
yeah,
because
but
people want Ange
it
out. So
happens eventually. It happens eventually. So yeah, might as well just grind it
sort
out
it
there
out.
and try to make it happen. But yeah, that is all that we have for episode 98. Thank you again for tuning in. We know this was a chunky episode,
Quite
and
lengthy.
we appreciate if you've listened until this point. There are chapters if you do choose to just listen to selected segments. But yeah, Siad, where can the people find you on the socials?
Yeah, I think I've committed fully to Blue Sky. I need to put that name up there, but it won't fit. But yeah, pull in on Blue Sky, Ziad Parker 7. I do check the others, but I try to redirect everyone to Blue Sky. And come check out Sportycast on Blue Sky as well. Doing a lot of content there. It's been a lot of engagement. So thank you to all those who've contributed and engaged with us. It's a lot of fun. So come join us.
Nice one. Yes.
Yeah, follow the channel at Sportycast on all the social media platforms. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. It means a lot to us.
You can find
Comment.
Riaz at the barber.
I will be at the barber soon. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, you can also tweet me at Parker_Riaz if you really want to. But yeah, I'm only on Twitter really. Hardly on Twitter. I need to get onto this Blue Sky that people talking about. I don't even know what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah,
Just
you'll
look up,
you'll
my
be there
man.
soon. He'll be there soon. Yeah, I'm at AF Parker 642 on all platforms. That includes Blue Sky. I'm probably on Blue Sky the most these days. Don't really go much onto the other platforms anymore, except for like just checking some DMs on Twitter. But yeah, like I had said, follow us at Sportycast on every single platform. And keep your eyes peeled for our 100 episode giveaway that is going to be happening within the next couple of weeks. And yeah, if you are in Cape Town this weekend, myself and Jason, we are going to be doing a walkabout on the promenade. Riaz, I didn't know you were going to be back, but you can join us as well. You can come through. It's going to be a vibe. It's going to be nice and sunny. So yeah, come on over and have a chat with us. We are super keen to get to know everybody, and yeah, it's just going to be a vibe. But yeah, that is all from us here at Sportycast, and yeah, peace.